In this video, I'm going to be talking about three teams: Notre Dame, TCU, and Boise State. Start off with Notre Dame, second year in the Brian Kelly era, trying to get back to national prominence. Started with the quarterback position. They have Dane Christian named in the starting quarterback. Can he stay healthy enough and live up to that five-star potential that he had coming out of high school? I think he can. Very good quarterback. If not, if he can't stay healthy, they have a viable backup option in Tommy Reese, who led Notre Dame to 5-6 wins coming down the stretch at the end and won their bowl game. Uh, I gotta see what happens there. Dane Chris was a lot of up and down, but he's very fragile. Two knee injuries that ended the season the past 2 years, so we got to see what happens there. They're fine. I like their running backs. They got Sierra Wood, guy who's a scat back who bounces it outside, very good coming out the backfield, catching the football, and Jonas Gray. Jonas Gray is one of those Jerome Bettis types, one of those power back types, just running between the tackles, guy who could really push the pile, move the pile. But they also like this guy Cameron Robinson. He was one of those guys, came on spring, came on in workouts during the summer, and they really like this kid a lot. At the wide receiver position, they have one of the best wide receivers, one of the best playmakers in all of college football, and Malcolm Floyd. I want to know what they're going to do, if he can be able to stay on the field, because he's ran into a couple of off the field issues. There's really almost questioned if he should be on this team or not, but he's there. If he's not there, this team is really not has the cachet that they have right now. Also, they got to find out who's going to also step up at the other wide receiver spots. I like Theo Reddick a lot at the slot. He's another playmaker. He's going to be the slot guy. He's going to be a kick returner and a punt returner as well. Also, who's going to be that outside guy that they look for? Is it going to be T.J. Jones, the sophomore that they had last year, who came on strong? Or is it going to be one of these two guys that they really had high hopes for, former All-Americans in Deion Walker and John Goodman? One of those two got to step up. One of those three actually have to step up and help out and just take the pressure off of Malcolm Floyd. Moving on to the offensive line, they returned 4 starters, but even though they returned 4 starters, they want to run the ball a little bit more. And that offensive line with those 4 starters, they need to improve on their run blocking a lot. They said they will improve over the spring. I saw a little bit of the spring game. I think they did improve a little bit more, but I want to see what they can do going further on, if they can gel and become more road graders and maulers at the offensive line. Defense, I love what they have. I like their defense a lot, especially their front seven. They got guys, the seniors, the 3 down linemen, really senior led by Ethan Johnson at one end and Capron Lewis Moore at the other. They have 2 young guys, 2 5-star guys, really talented, up with great potential upside guys. Aaron Lynch out of Florida and Steven Truitt out of Georgia. If those two guys can make really early impacts for them. Also, Lewis Nix at the nose guard spot, he can really help out a lot for them. At the linebacker, they're very deep. Guys like Fox and Manti Te'o, who's one of the best linebackers in the country. Calabris. They also have Stephen Filo or Prince Shembo at the outside linebacker spots. They run at 34. Watch out for Ishaq Williams, another 5-star guy that they got at the state of New York. He's one of those guys who's a pass rushing threat. He's going to be a guy in third down situations you're going to keep an eye on for. I like him more with his hand in the ground when they have 4 lineman sets, nickel packages, dime packages, where he can put his hand on the ground. Since they were in that 34 look, he's going to be asked to stand up a lot, and I really want to see what he's going to be able to do as pass coverage wise. He's a great rusher, but maybe when he gets older and more acclimated to college or more seasoned, he'll become a better pass coverage linebacker. I like what they have at the secondary spot a lot. They have a lot of main guys. I like Robert Blanton and Gary Gray at the corner spots. They got to find out what they're going to do at the other safety spot. They have Harrison Smith coming back, led the team in interceptions last year. Or they got to find out, is it Slaughter or is it going to be Zeke Mott at the other safety spots? But they also need to create depth. They're not very fast. They need to get more speed over there and a little bit of talent on the back 7. But like I said, due to their front seven, that back 4 is going to have a lot of pressure taken off them, because they're going to be getting after the quarterback, those linemen and linebackers. Notre Dame is a team that they're really trying to get back to the top. This year they have a really easy schedule, a lot of home games. I think they can really they can get about 8 to 9 wins out of here, maybe potentially even 10, and get to a BCS bowl game this year. But I think this team is a year away. Moving on to TCU. TCU coming off a lot of momentum going into this program, coming off the Rose Bowl win, losing Andy Dalton to the NFL draft though. Can Casey Patchell become that leader? He's more athletic, better runner than Andy Dalton, more athletic than Andy Dalton, has a stronger arm than Dalton. But Dalton also was more accurate, better decision making because he was a 4-year starter, and that leadership ability that comes from the quarterback. He was one of the great leaders in college football last year in Dalton. The one thing that's going to take a lot of pressure off of Patchell is the running game. They have a 3-headed monster at running back: Ed Wesley, Michael Tucker, and Wayman James. All 3 guys are valid candidates for running the football. At one point last year, all 3 of them rushed for 100 yards in a game. They also got the UCLA transfer Andre Dean also coming in, so they just adds onto the talent they have at running back. The 2 questions that they have is that offensive line, they got to replace 4 starters, and also the wide receiver position. Who's going to be able to help just kind of be more productive, and who's going to step up since they lost Jeremy Curley, their top playmaker last year, one of the top playmakers in all of college football last year, as well as Jimmy Young, a guy who stretched the field a lot for them. Keep your eye on Antoine Hicks and Ladarius Brown. I think those are the 2 guys. Hicks is a junior. Brown is a true freshman coming in, but I think those guys have a lot of talent, and they can become 2 playmakers for them. Their defense is always top notch. They were the best statistical defense last year. Led in point scoring, yards allowed. They run that 4-2-5 defense, 4 down linemen, 2 linebackers, and 5 DBs in the back with 3 safeties, 2 corners. I want to see if they can get a pass rush. They've always been able to get that pass rush, so I'm really not worried about that at all. They have 2 of the best linebacker cores in the whole entire country, very underrated. Tank Carter and Tanner Brock. One of those 2 are going to be an All-American. They're really that good. They're going to be called in an NFL draft, and they're going to definitely be NFL players or Sunday players. Also, they have depth behind those 2 at linebacker, so the future looks bright for that team. But at the secondary, there's a lot of questions over there, especially since they have 1 DB for sure, and Greg McCoy. I think he's a great cover corner. What a lockdown guy. He's gonna be a ball hog this year. He's gonna be a guy whose name you're gonna realize towards the end of the season. But I think that they have talent back there. They just need to get these guys that experience. They haven't really played a lot, and I think they can do it. I think TCU is another team they're going to be battling Boise State, since Boise State entered their conference this year for that spot. But I really think that they're a team that also is a 9 or 10 win team, and they can help out a lot with the seniors that they have on the defensive side of football, especially with Canner and Brock, who are their 2 main leaders. But I think this team is a 9 to 10 win team. Maybe they can push for another BCS bowl game. Moving on to Boise State. Boise State this year, top 5 team. AP poll, coaches poll, they've find them as a top 5 team this year. Kellen Moore is back. Probably going to be the winningest quarterback in NCAA history by the time by the end of the season. He's going to be in New York for a Heisman. The one thing I would worry about is how the play calling is going to change. They lost Coach Harsin, their offensive coordinator, quarterbacks coach at the University of Texas. So I want to see what happens there. Is the play calling going to be different? If not, I think it's not, because they still kept their wide receiver coach, who is going to be their offensive coordinator now, and also Chris Peterson knows what he's doing on offense. So I think they're going to be fine at quarterback, no problems. Doug Martin returns at the running back position. He's a guy he's their main guy from last year, coming back. Very good running the ball inside. He can also bounce it outside, but he's more of an inside runner, very quick and powerful. The thing is, can DJ Harper, because he likes to run those 2 running backs, can DJ Harper replace the productiveness that James Avery came in? Because James Avery was that guy. He was that change of pace, great hands out the backfield, very quick, very fast. He was just that guy that really just changed the look of the Boise State offense. Also, it's going to be really, really hard for this team to replace over 140 catches last year, 2,100 yards, and 19 touchdowns. They lost their 2 top receivers, Austin Pettis and Titus Young. Who are the guys that are going to replace those two that left to the NFL draft? Keep your eye out for Taylor Shoemaker and Chris Potter. I like those two a lot. Very reliable hands guys. They were guys that was last year that played inside in the slot, and they're going to take it out and they're going to move it to the outside. I really like Shoemaker a lot. Great route runner. Solid hands. He's not fast, but he's really quick, and I think he's a guy that they can look forward to becoming a playmaker for them. Very underrated offensive line led by Nate Potter. They have one of the best defensive and offensive lines in the country. Nate Potter is going to be a left tackle. He's really good. I think he's a first-round pick, potentially. I really like this offensive line. They lost 2 guys last year, but they bring back 3, and I really like this offensive line. One of the most underrated offensive lines. This defense is really senior-led. They returned 3 starters on that defensive line. They returned 3 of the 4 top linebackers. The one question that they definitely do have is at secondary. But keep your eye on Jamar Tyler. I think, and even the coaches think that at this point in time, he's better right now than Kyle Wilson was at this time in his career. And I think he might actually end up being better than Kyle Wilson. Very fast guy, runs 4.4. Good coverage guy, solid. But it's those other spots where are they going to be able to get that help from. So I really like Boise State a lot. They have questions in their secondary. They do play in a weak conference, but they do play TCU. They play Georgia at the beginning of the season. If Boise State can run the table and a couple of teams lose, I think this team actually has a shot to play in a national championship game this year. But once again, how are they going to win? How are they going to handle that Georgia game in the Georgia Dome first week of the season, and then later on in the season when they play TCU? But I think this is easy a 10 to 11 win team. Probably BCS bowl contenders. Possibly also national championship contenders as well. Let me know what you guys think. You can subscribe to the top of the page. Leave your comments at the bottom. Thanks, guys. Talk to you later.